Hello, my couture crafters. Let's get into this box with a card. So, I guess before we do all that, I have a mini haul. I ordered from Catherine Pooler, no surprise there. A little Ulta New, no surprise there either. And look, it's some Concord and Ninth. Shocker, not at all. Matter of fact, I find that probably 90% of my stuff is either Tim Holtz Ranger, of course, Altenew, Concord and Ninth, and now Catherine Pooler. Altenew released some new inks, and although I don't have all of their old inks, I just want to have their entire collection. So instead of buying the old ones that I'm missing for whatever reason, I decided to buy all the new ones that have just come out, along with the Snapdragon flower set. I think it's so pretty, and you know I do long and skinny cards, and that's a long and skinny flower. So it works out. What's interesting about that set is if you look up to the right hand corner, the inks that I just covered only have three. So usually their sets come with four. They have a couple of sets with three now. Concord and Ninth. These are some script stamps that I want to play with. My writing is poor. You guys have seen me try to write. And this right here is a way of me addressing envelopes without writing the names and them looking crazy. Those are some matching stickers to the cards that are up in the left-hand corner that say Piper. Now I'm opening up some Catherine Pooler, and these are the new colors that she just released along with two stamp sets that I've been eyeing. This is I think it's like the Love You and Diamond set, and then the new storybook, one of the new storybook stamp sets. Something about that leaf thingy in the middle just reminds me of Avatar, and I thought it was pretty, so I got it. They have another set that doesn't say all love, but it's sold out, and I want that set too. And then I'll be all set on my Catherine Pooler stamps and inks for a while, I think. So what are we doing here? We are cutting down a 6x6 sheet of paper of cardstock. And I am going to be die cutting. And instead of coloring the die cuts, I use washi tape. This is that washi tape from Michaels that everybody probably has. I was chasing it like crazy for a while, and a friend of mine had it, and she would not give it up. That's okay. I was able to find it eventually, and it's kind of transparent, so I'm putting it on white paper, and I'm just pulling out all the different colors that kind of match that card, and I'm taping it down on the paper. In hindsight, I should have done 3 rows of all of the tape, but it worked out fine. It's not a big deal. I'm just butting the tapes up against each other, just trying to get a nice solid surface so that I can use my little die cutting dies to cut. And so little by little. That bruise on my arm, I was giving blood. I was having some test run, just a normal physical, and my veins are very hard to find. And she found one on the opposite side that people usually draw blood, and that's where the nurse took the blood from, which left a beautiful bruise on my arm. So that's what that is. You guys know I'm doing a popsicle themed card, and I just love the popsicle called, I think they're called Big Sticks, which is like the pineapple cherry flavor, and I feel like that tape just really looks like Big Stick tape. Shout out if you guys know what I'm talking about. This is definitely going to be one of those longer videos. I didn't edit a ton of stuff out. It's a 25-minute video. Shout out to those who are hanging with me through the whole video. If you can't do that, if you're not feeling it, feel free to watch my videos on double time. Watch everybody's videos on double time. I do it all the time. Just click the little hamburger sign, which are the 3 dots, however it shows up, and go to where it says like speed, and it'll say normal, and then just watch it on double. And then I go super fast. And if there's something that you see that you want to revisit, go ahead and go back or slow it down. These are some pliers that are specifically made to cut your dies apart. I used to use my Tim Holtz scissors, but nope. I was tearing those up. Even though Tim Holtz scissors are super strong, these are better. They just click, click, and they're out. Yes, you can move them back and forth, but I find that this is just a little bit easier. This is, again, the Popsicle die set from, I think it's called the Sweet Treats die set from Concord and Ninth. And those little dies that I've taken out are indeed little popsicle dies. I thought I was going to use these plates in my Cuddlebug, and guess what? They're too big. So I had to pull out the big spellbinders, and I usually only pull that out when I have to do really big dies, so I was annoyed. But that's what happens when you let your plates get really messed up and you need new plates and you don't replace them. So I die cut this a million times to get all the little pieces for the popsicles. So you see me here just grabbing pieces and poking pieces out of those little dies that are to the left. Just poking them out, die cutting them, and then I had a whole bunch of them and I used all of those colors you just saw. Now we're going to take those 3 dies and plop them back in the bag so we don't lose them. And there are my popsicles. See? And you assemble them by gluing the little pieces onto the popsicle. I think these are specifically kind of made to mimic the red, blue, what other color? Are they red, white, and blue? I forget what color those popsicles are, but they leave like a little space of white in between, which I wasn't anticipating. However, I didn't care. It was fine. You still know it's a popsicle because why? I put a popsicle stick on it. Therefore, it's a popsicle. And I mixed and matched the colors so that it was just fun. I grabbed an E53 Copic marker. Yes, I have Copic markers. I never show Copic coloring videos because it's not my gift. But I grabbed my Copic color E53 and it looks just like a popsicle stick. Doesn't it? Look at it. It looks just like a little stick. And I glued it on top and look, now we have a popsicle. So cute. So I did a whole bunch of gluing and then I grabbed my Catherine Pooler inks because 9 times out of 10 they're going to be my go-to, my first ones that I pull. And I'm pulling colors that kind of match the popsicles. I need to do a new swatch. This chart here is lovely for first glance, but when you really want to see a color next to each other, you should have some little squares that all have the colors that you can kind of put up next to one another. Don't worry, I'm going to redo my swatches. It's coming. It's one of the things on my list to do. I'm using a Concord and 9th turnabout. You guys know that turnabouts are my very favorite stamps of all time. My favorite one is the Hello one by Concord and 9th. I have a whole video on how to use these. I'm getting ready to do this incorrectly the first time, but hey, I figured it out. I thought I cut this out. Obviously, I did not. I am not doing this correct. Yes, I am. I did. I fixed it. I think I fixed it. All I can say is go to Concord and 9th and look at how to use their turnabout stamps. There's a whole thing. And now they've improved their stamps by adding, not a jig, but they added a clear transparency that makes it even easier. So here when I do the first 2 layers with these colors, I realized that the colors aren't different enough and I didn't like it and it was off. And I was like, what on earth? Because I did it wrong. So here we go. This is how you do it. You need to have a jig or a template. I couldn't find my jig. I have no idea where I put it. And you line everything up, including that transparency, which is on the back of the stamp. And when you line everything up, it will line up pretty much perfect. And now I can pick it up and peel the transparency off. And then you put your paper down. If your paper is not 6x6, you want to go ahead and glue your paper to the template. I have another video that explains this much better, but if you're somewhat familiar, you're going to get it. I changed the colors that I was using because they just weren't right. So I grabbed, I think this is Lime Ricky by Catherine Pooler. Again, I love Catherine Pooler inks because they just make it so you don't have to work so hard. You can tap, 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 and that ink transfers beautifully to stamps. And when you're using a stamp for the first time and you want your stamp to work, you're probably going to have better results with either Catherine Pooler or VersaFine Clear. Again, I stock VersaFine Clear, Altenew, and Catherine Pooler. Those are my main inks. Of course, I have Distress inks too. So now we're just going to rotate the card and we're going to stamp it again. And it's starting to make a background. A really cute background. This is the only one that does not line up perfectly, in my opinion. It lines up really well, but it's just something that's just a touch off. But this is the only one that does that. All the other ones line up perfectly for me. It's still good enough. I mean, that if you're not looking for it, you won't see it. It just makes a really fun, like, party atmosphere kind of background. And I'm just cleaning this off with baby wipes in between. And now we're going to the last color, purple. And closing that door. And this will be complete, ready to be trimmed down and used. And there we have it. Doesn't that look like a good party? I love it. I made another one in a different colorway too, just to have some options, just to be playing with stuff. And yes, the stamps do stain. So here I am, I'm measuring that stack because the whole point of this video is to make a box for these stationery cards that I purchased for a little girl named Piper, who I am obsessed with. Piper is 6 years old, and I just love everything about her. And I decided that she's been writing like notes and leaving notes and letters to people all around. So I decided I would get her some personalized stationery. Why not have her hooked at a young age, right? So I cut this sheet of paper down to, I believe, 9 1/4. And I've just altered how large I want this box. I have shown you guys how to make this box a few videos back, my Christmas couture shoes box. And basically, you just increase the size of the paper however large you want to increase the size of the box width that you need. I wanted my box to be about an inch. I think it needed to be about an inch in order to fit the cards. And there's another lady who does a great job of explaining how to increase the sizes. I think that envelope maker is excellent. Maybe I'll do another video that specifically tells you all how to increase the size. But basically, you increase the size of the paper. So say it's requiring an 8-inch paper, you cut it at 9. And then you use the first square mark that the template tells you to use, and then you increase it by however large you increased it. So 1 inch. So if it's saying use the first square is at 4, you're going to score first at 4, and then you're going to slide your paper down, and then you're going to score it again at 5 using the punch the same way. Hopefully that makes sense to somebody that's making sense. But again, there's a video that I have, or you can just search envelope boxes by We Are Memory Keeper envelope boxes, and there's a ton of tutorials on them. See that? So instead of just making an envelope, now I made a little bit of a box customized to my 4 1/4 by 5.5 cards. You guys know I'm not a fan of that size. However, that's what Vistaprint had. That's who I used. I used Vistaprint to make those cards for Piper. And she's a 6-year-old who now has her very own personalized stationery. They also came with a notepad. I ordered a notepad with her name on it too, so she can just have tons of notes and things. And I heard that she loves it. She's writing me a letter right now. That's why I love her. So I just went ahead and cut a purple sheet of paper for my card base. And now I'm trimming off the excess on the sides here. They have like 1/4 of just nothing on the sides because I used a 6 by 6 inch piece of paper. And after doing that, I cut down the cardstock to about 1/4 inch less than the base. So I believe that base is 4 1/4 by 5.5, which is an A2 size card. It's just normal, which means I just took an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and cut it in half and then folded it. Now, because it's so busy, I needed something to kind of break it up, even though this is a super busy, fun, like all over the place card. And so now I'm just putting the popsicle sticks on that solid piece of cardstock just to break it up just a little bit. This is a huge roll of foam tape that I got at the scrapbook and Stamp Expo. And most people who make cards can go through foam tape like water. I don't use it a ton, probably because I forget it's down there. And so now I'm taking foam and I'm just putting it back on every other popsicle to give it just a little bit of dimension. And we're pulling off the release paper, and in person it looks kind of cool. You can't tell there, but every other popsicle has some dimension. Then I decided, yes, I needed to put a sentiment on here, but that background is so busy. And I knew I wanted it to say, stay sweet. And that's from that same Turnabout stamp set. So I figured I would put it on some vellum paper so that it just kind of blurred out the background where the words were, so that it wasn't so busy. I mean, it's already a busy card, I know, but did it have to be so busy? I don't know. And I like the way that this looked. I like the size that it is. I grabbed those words and cool. I laid them out on the strip and I thought, this is it. Perfect. Yeah, right. So I grabbed my Misty so I wouldn't mess it up. I put the strip that overhang behind the Misty door. I got my magnets. And things went wrong as usual, guys. Things do not always go the way that I planned them. So I used the VersaFine clear ink because I wanted it to be crisp. However, vellum absorbs ink very differently than cardstock. So it kind of stayed wet on the surface and it didn't transfer quite the same way that it would on white cardstock. I tried to hit it again and it kind of gave me a blurred version, and I was like, I don't love it, so I'm going to redo it. But I did like the effect. It was doing what I needed it to do. So now I'm using my anti-static tool because I feel like it's just kind of flat. So I figured I would do something that made it shiny, some dimension to it, which would be heat embossing on vellum. So I put the thing in there again. I'm stamping it again. I guess I was just measuring there. So now I'm using my VersaFine clear ink and I'm stamping it. Then I go ahead and use some embossing glitter. This is Recollections embossing glitter. And it's glittery and shiny and clear. So I just dumped it all over there and it adhered great. Then I did something else that wasn't smart. Ready for it? Which heat gun did I grab? Not the two heat guns that I have that are specifically for embossing, but the Tim Holtz gun. Not for embossing. Tim Holtz gun is for drying paper quickly. I don't know why on earth. It can emboss just a little bit, but it's not the heat gun to go to when you want to emboss. I grabbed Old Faithful eventually. Look at how long I'm cooking that. It's ridiculous. Grab a true heat gun. There we go. There she is, Old Faithful. That took me a few seconds and it was all better. So look, it looks all good. It's just what I wanted. And then I was like, geez, I want this to be at a diagonal angle, but I don't have a protractor. So I traced one of the stamps that appeared to be at a neat angle. See, there we go. Traced it on both sides so that I had an angle that I could cut the vellum. Yes, because God forbid I just have a protractor. And instead of just grabbing some scissors, I figured I would do it with, and there it is. You see what just happened? Ripped the paper. It was not a nice clean cut. So I cut it apart. Figured I would try it again. I sliced through it. That one sliced fine, but it messed up my original design, which was super cute. This was such a fail. It was so cute. Then I grabbed a blade and tried to cut the vellum and it said no. So that was a fail. Don't try that. Then I just eventually grabbed some scissors and cut the sides. So I cut the center straight and the sides kind of skewed. And then I just figured I'd put them askew. And it worked out. So I went ahead and glued behind the black letters because trying to find 100% clear adhesive to put behind vellum is very difficult. So I just put it behind the letters very, very carefully so that none of the glue seeped out beyond the letters. And after that, I added a few sequins to kind of bring it all together and keep the party theme going. And I glued those on with my glitter glue. So now it's time to put the box together. And so I just put a little bit of glue on those tabs at the bottom. And again, if you like this box, I show you how to do it on my holiday series. I think they're called, it's the shoe one. It's the red bottom shoes by the Tons where I do a box to give away. And there you have it, an envelope box. Isn't that cool? I love that we can do boxes. And the sizes, you can do just about any size that will allow you to use up to about a 12 by 12 sheet of paper. And there we go. So now I'm like, we got to decorate this box a little bit. I'm pushing and primping with the box and adjusting it and that kind of thing. I wanted to see if I could do a liner, and liners really don't work for the box. There needs to be a different measurement. I was able to do a liner, but it's not perfect. You can see the purple showing on the sides, and I don't love that. I would have to figure out the calculations, and I don't know who's going to do that. So you see down there at the bottom where my left thumb is, you'll still see the purple seeping out. Not a big deal. At least it wasn't in my opinion. So I did it the same way. I chopped off the opposite sides and then I rounded the top. And I slid it in there. See, on the sides where my thumb is, you can still see right there the purple sticking out. Not a big deal. It all matched. It was pretty. And when you stick the cards in there, you really aren't thinking about it. It just looks like a design element. I needed to change my cartridge because you guys watched me run out of tape on my last video. And there we go. And again, I'm only putting tape on the top part of the envelope at this point. Just the top. Perfect. You see how it goes to the sides. Now I'm going to put, once I figure out where the tape needs to go, I'm going to put the tape on that center portion. But that's it. I do not put tape at the bottom because it still needs to move a little bit. You need to have a little bit of give. And then you plop those in there and it looks like there's a little liner. So for this, I decided that I wanted to wrap it with some ribbon behind. I knew that the ribbon would not be showing right here, so I just taped it down on the front. I'm working on the front of the box right now. Turn it over. All I wanted were 2 strands side by side on the sides. That was what I was going for. So then we tape it here. None of that is really going to be seen. So I adjusted my ribbon, see, side by side. I love ribbon work. You can certainly transform your presents by using ribbon. And we all have it. I don't know what we thought we were going to do when we bought tons of this ribbon. I have tons of this ribbon. I was like, what was I thinking when I bought all this? I bought it in every color. Probably because Michael's had a $1 sale or 50 cents on ribbon. So I was like, of course I need that. So I really need to reach for it so that I can get rid of this stuff. I need to go through my stash. I tied it in a knot. I put some more tape on there. This is the front. And then I covered it with the card. I glued the card down onto the box. Again, this is going to a 6-year-old kid. Probably not thinking about anything that I've done here. I'm lighting my candle with a spaghetti stick as usual. And now I'm looking for wax. This is that cheaper wax. I didn't have any issues with this. The last time I did, this time I did not have one issue with this wax. It melted down perfectly. My issue is that I did not have enough of that color and I should have mixed colors. So here I'm placing the leftover popsicles that don't have sticks on the back. And I'm arranging them in like a fan shape. There we go. And now I'm just going to pour the wax on there. I just didn't have enough wax. And it was too late and I had to make do with what I had. So I just pushed my seal down in there and left it for a few moments to cool. And while it's still hot, you rub out the wax from that spoon. Boy, I wish I had a little bit more wax. That would have been so perfection. And there we are. Box done, ribbon done, all finished. If you hung out with me for the full 25 minutes, bless your heart. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. See you again.